Well, I think that saving the world is related to cognitive liberty, freedom of thought. And in talking about that, I just wanted to describe my paintings, because my paintings are based on an essentialized worldview that came to me through the use of psychedelics. And this essentialized worldview is made up of three elements. It's like the world is three things: chaos, order, and secret writing. And the way I see it is chaos, which is a symbol, symbolized in my work in this pattern of everything is broken, everything is entropy, things are falling apart. We're made up of many different things. We have tables and people. You are different than me. Everything is divided and everything is apart. That's the chaos of the material world. Order is the realm that we experience in deep meditation or in the psychedelic state of interconnectedness, where all beings and things are one. We're a series or a vista of fountains and drains of energy, and we're all made of the same thing. We're all made up of light. And that is represented in my work in the symbol that I call order, which is, you can see it in the sort of background here within those diamonds where all things are interconnected. And that is represented in my work and I call it order. Secret writing is the symbols that we use. I wear my secret writing, actually. The symbols that we use are through our words. All of our words are just symbols. That you understand me is you understanding me through the symbols of my words. All the letters of every alphabet. All of the symbols on Alex's paintings or on any artist's work, are all symbols through which we interpret. We see them. They're flat, but we interpret them as having meaning. And even dance and music and poetry and writing is all a means of communicating. And that is, I use as a symbol, I use the secret writing as a symbol for that communication. So we have inner thoughts, we have inner ideas, and they come out through our symbols to the outer chaos world. The inner world is the world of bliss and order. The outer world is the world of chaos and material world. And in between you have this where inner becomes outer. It's like these windows that we have agreed upon, that we funnel all of our creativity and all of our thoughts, our inner thoughts through. So I really do feel that creativity is the source of saving the world, for one thing. That is the place. They are only symbols and they're restricted. We know how hard it is when we have a bliss experience, an experience of the infinitude of the universe, and we try to explain it through words or pictures. We know how difficult, or music, we know how difficult that is. And the people that are really good at that have the best windows. Their windows are polished, and and as Aldous Huxley said, they've cleansed the doors of perception. These are like the doors that creativity flows through. They're only like these constricted places. So I think that creativity is the source of saving the world. I think that every time we ever see any transformation happen, it happens through creativity. Transformation has to happen through fun and creative and beautiful, because people are not attracted to, terrible and bad and wrong. They're not attracted to criticism and judgment. They're attracted to the beautiful and the creative. And when we are at our best, as creative people, we are creating for the purpose of transformation on any level. On the level of, our own personal transformation, the level of transforming our family, to be a better family, working better together, or our little community, our office, or the greater communities, the neighborhood, your state representatives, your government, our United States government, on those levels of transformation and global transformation. So that to me, it starts on a local level. We can only do what we can do, and I admire very much, by the way, your project because of that. Your project is very creative, it's very beautiful, it's your intention to transform through attracting people to the beautiful and the creative. So one other note I wanted to say about cognitive liberty was that I really do feel that the transformation that occurred for me through the use of psychedelics led me to meditation, it led me to a spiritual life that I did not have before. It led me to becoming a better, more introspective, more self-evaluating, self-actualizing, transformed person that I'm still becoming. And so I really do think that there is a use for these mind-expanding substances. I don't see them as an end-all and be-all. I think that the royal road is meditation, but for most people that I know in our culture, in our modern culture, that have come to meditation, they've come to it through their experience of psychedelics. It has opened up a world for them that allows them to seek. They become seekers through their use of psychedelics. They see a world, greater than and beyond, and a world of possibilities, and they pursue it through their creativity. I mean, so many people have become creative because of psychedelics. So, and they're dangerous too. So you have to, be very careful, and I think there needs to be a context for them. There's no context in our culture. I mean, we're beginning to see the context of medicine in marijuana, but not everyone is ill, and not everyone needs it to become well. We are well people to begin with, and we need to, use it for our higher consciousness. So it's one modality to see it as medicine, but it's also another modality to see it as a spiritual opening. And that's what the Chapel of Sacred Mirrors is all about. The Chapel of Sacred Mirrors has been created as a place for people to have a spiritual opening. And it doesn't limit you, and there's no dogma, there's no limit to the kind of rituals that you want to perform. I mean, as long as they don't hurt other people. It's all about, transforming the planet, making ourselves better, making our communities better. And we are a community, we become a community around the Chapel of Sacred Mirrors. And we're not alone. I mean, there are many nodes. We are one node in a network of many, many communities that are growing up in Portland and in Hawaii and in Woodstock, New York, and in New York City, and in all over. There are places where, in West Coast, East Coast, other countries, and we're hearing from all these people. So we intend the Chapel of Sacred Mirrors to be one of those nodes and to be a stand for cognitive liberty, to be a stand for people to experience higher states of consciousness by whatever means necessary. And that doesn't mean that we ever encourage or embrace addiction. Addiction is not the same thing as cognitive liberty. Addiction is imprisonment. So no one should be addicted to anything, to food, to sex, to any kind of drug, whether it be psychedelic drugs or opiates. No one should be addicted in any way to anger. I'm still dealing with my anger issues from growing up. I have a lot of transforming to do. We have addictions to behaviors. So we're not advocating addiction. We are advocating transformation through whatever means necessary, and cognitive liberty is the way to go. I believe that everything is yin and yang. And yin and yang was one of the first religions that Alex portrays in his painting Praying, where you have the Tao on either side, the symbols for the Tao. And it really is true. I think there will always be the dark side. I don't think that we will ever live in a world where there isn't the dark and the light. But I think the light can prevail. And we are an example of that. And making this film is an example of that. And the Chapel of Sacred Mirrors is an example of that. I believe that world peace is possible in our lifetime. I do believe that. And I feel that we're heading towards that. I also believe that yin and yang exists. That Alex's painting, Praying, shows the Tao as one of the first religions, the black and the white. And so there'll always be the dark side, but there's also the light. And I think this project is an example of that light, and the Chapel of Sacred Mirrors is an example of that light, and all the nodes and the network and the people that we see in all the cities that we go to where we do events are in favor of saving the world and peace on earth. And we see just a small, tiny fraction of those people who feel that way. It's a movement. It's a huge world movement. And I think that the human race is, coming out of its adolescence, where we don't think about the future, and just everything we do is just, our life will go on forever. We realize that if we have to save the planet, we're going to have some pretty serious transformation and make some hard decisions. And I think a lot of people are ready to do that. Collective consciousness, I think, exists now. I mean, it's obvious. It obviously exists now. It is. It's our communities across the globe feeling like neighbors. We have neighbors in Russia who love Alex's work, and they love the same thing about it that our friends in LA love about it, as our friends in New York here love about it, as our friends down in Arkansas love about it. We are a world community, and we hear from these people, all the time. And now the World Wide Web is, I think, an incredible indicator of that. We see that how close we all are, and I'm talking to people from all over the world every minute. Like I'm sitting there on my computer, and so are you, talking to people from all over the world. And we all have the same ideas in mind, which is save the world, transformation, world peace. Men and women have to learn to get along. I mean, men have to share the power with women. Women have to serve and not feel diminished by service. Everyone has to serve. We all have to serve. And my theory is, unpopular as it sometimes is that there are power feeders and there are power sources. Some people are power feeders, some people are power sources. And we're all both, to a large degree. We're all both. But if you are a power feeder, you are equally powerful to a power source. Power sources can't exist without feeders. They need feeders. They're just sources. If they don't have any food, they can't proceed, and they can't be sources. So I do think that there is a certain degree of, the engine working, the feeding and the sourcing, the feeding and the sourcing. We all have to serve each other, and we all have to source the transformation that needs to happen. What can men learn from women? What can women learn from men? Women can learn a lot from men. Be powerful. But I also know that, like, when I was pregnant with my daughter and being a mom, I felt like I was doing what I was meant to do. It was the most astounding realization for me, because I always thought I was meant to be an artist, I was meant to be a businesswoman, I was meant to, work. And then when I, became a mom, I realized that was what I was made for. I was made for that. And it was incredibly humbling and really, really beautiful. And frankly, I think women are way powerful, and men are just like in there running things because they have pregnancy envy. But that's just my own personal theory. They don't get to be the cradle of civilization that women do. They go off, That's just a personal aside. I hope you don't include that. But that's true. Women are very powerful. Well, how can artists create art that will wake people up? I believe that creativity, that means art in all of its forms, dance, gardening, making food, cooking, creativity in all of its forms is a health factor. I really think that you wouldn't go around saying, well, I don't really have time to exercise. I just don't have time, so I just won't. It's okay, I just won't. I used to, but I don't have time. We know that that's wrong. We can't be that. We can't do that anymore. It's a health factor. You want to live long? You want to have a great life that you love? You have to exercise. And I think that creativity is like that too. And creativity, if you block it, if you used to be creative, which we all were in kindergarten, we all were artists, right? And we were all, making things and painting and felt free to draw. We didn't say, I can't draw until we're about 5, kindergarten. That's about the cutoff. But mostly, the little ones, they can draw until they're told that they can't. So creativity, we're all creative. We sing, we dance, we have a form of creativity, and then we cut it off and cut it off and cut it off. And we narrow and narrow and narrow. And if we don't have a channel for our creativity, I really do feel that it becomes a health issue, that you have blockages in your energy, which we're realizing now is actually very real. The invisible energy that exists in our body, the acupuncture meridians and points and the auras that we can't see, are actually real. They exist. And when we block creativity, we block the flow. Plus, we do something in our mind. We say, I was meant to be creative and I'm not doing it. It's this lack of positivity. You're cutting off your creative flow. So if you feel that, I used to be an artist, but I'm not anymore, or I went to art school and now I'm a website designer, but I really want to be a painter, in whatever way you're cutting off your creativity, you are causing ill health. And I really think that people have to look at that and go to the next level with their art, make art a spiritual practice, even if it's just for your personal life. Have a place in your home where you make art or make music, or dance, or do something creative, or go to drum circles, or go do something creative on a regular basis, like you would do exercise on a regular basis, because you want to live long and you want that long life to be a good life, the life that you love. So how do you have the life you love? It's one of the health factors. You eat well, you exercise well, you meditate, you do creativity, you put creativity in your life. There you go.